For a community Q&A today on the 13th of April 2019, along with my co-lead Doc and Navarr as the lead developer and network co-lead. So today is just a chance for you guys to talk to us about all things Shotbow. Feel free to ask any kind of questions and we shall get started. So hopefully a few of you will join us, and we'll also be looking for questions on our Discord rooms, but we'll also be looking out for questions on the YouTube live stream. And if anybody's watching this in the future, then feel free to post a comment on the Discords or the YouTubes and we'll try and get back to you as well. So without further ado, I think we shall just let you guys ask the questions. So first question please, Navarr, when it comes in. I think we had a few which were already submitted by the community.
Yes, we did. I'm just getting all the chats up and ready to pull out whatever's coming across. We've got streams going out pretty much everywhere today, so that's very fun.
I'm going to have to mute some sort of Discord because I'm getting a lot of people are joining this room, and I'm getting a lot of channel pings, which is, I'm sure, very fun.
Yeah, so if you're in the Discord chat room, please note that you will not be unmuted. Please go ahead and ask your questions as text in the shout box, and we'll respond.
And today's content on the stream is me attempting to do the infinite courses in one of our older game modes, Death by Void. So if any of you wants to come and try and beat my high score of 2 minutes on the daily course, you are more than welcome to do so. And otherwise, I shall just let Navarr grab some questions and we shall start the Q&A.
Yep, sorry about the delay with grabbing those. I'm just trying to get everything up.
You're fired. Ooh. Okay, where the hell am I going from here? Oh god. Oh fudge. Where was that even hit? Oh, it's that TNT block. Oh god. Okay.
All right. Let's start with a random question from the pre-submitted questions. As Gold Rush is coming closer to a release, will Shotbow be taking on new projects afterwards, or will the focus be on updating the current games / working on garaged games?
So that's a good question to get us started off. So I'm happy to announce that last night the leadership team of Shotbow decided that Gold Rush would be the next game mode that we continue to work on and release. So our current plan is to try and address an issue which we believe that has been one of Shotbow's sort of almost shortcomings for a while, which is that we have our current content, we release new content, but we do not give sufficient energy or efforts to bug fix or content patch our current modes. So our plan going forward will be to make sure that Annihilation and MineZ are as bug free as possible, that they have a good level of content in them, which is good, for in terms of it's fresh content. It's not just a minor patch, it's a major update to the core content of the modes. And then we shall be working as much as we can on Gold Rush. Obviously Doc has his schedule for MineZ, and it's been agreed that he'll be keeping to that, since that was a community promise that we made. But Annihilation we have other big plans for as well, so if anybody has any questions about that, they are more than welcome to ask. With respects to Gold Rush, it's very much still in the early stages of game design. The original mode was designed by Laser Tester back in the day. I've taken on the project as a game designer for that, and obviously the open weekend has been fantastic to get some actual sort of new player data on with respects to how the metas are defined. Obviously in staff games we never saw some of the sort of Zerg rushing that we saw before, so obviously our staff team are far too timid, and the player base out there is a lot more aggressive with their gameplay style. That will obviously influence how we proceed with the mode in the future. there are plans to take Gold Rush, give it a lot more polish. Obviously, we acknowledge that the open weekend had quite a few flaws, not a lot of complete features and some bugs, but that was to be expected. But we were happy with the response that we got to Gold Rush, and it was encouraging to see that players were happy to play it. We just had a bit of trouble getting it started. And that was a complete and utter fail on that Infinite course, so I apologise to all of you Death by Void fans who just saw my utter fail there. That was embarrassing. So, next question, please, Navarr.
All right. Is Shotbow in its current state gaining enough revenue for the coming months and years? And what are the plans for the future to make sure Shotbow will be sustainable?
So obviously, the EULA back in the day has changed the environment for how Shotbow tries to monetize itself on the platform of Minecraft. We have ideas for how we want to try and rework some of our offerings in terms of content. We want to, there's obviously a legacy issue that we have where, people who have supported us in the past with a premium rank, say, of Platinum, if they bought that rank 5 years ago, they are still getting all the benefits now, which is still fine. That's excellent. We're very supportive of the fact that you have given such a large amount. Obviously, though, there is a reality that we have a continuous server cost to keep going. At the moment, there are no staff on Shotbow who are paid, but even so, we need to make sure that we have a sustainable revenue stream. So what are we going to do about that? Well, we have a few ideas. Obviously, any perk will need to be EULA compliant. So I believe somebody had submitted a question saying, why don't you just sell XP? That is explicitly against the EULA, as is selling unbans, for example. And there are other restrictions which severely affect our ability to currently monetize our games. However, there are some plans to add more cosmetics to our game modes, because we believe that if players enjoy the modes, then they will hopefully be willing to support us in that respect. Obviously, we're quite happy. We're quite proud of the fact that we try to stay away from any pay-to-win features on Shotbow. So we're definitely keen to keep going with that mentality. So at the moment, we're aware that our premium packages are still a little bit lacking. We're aware of bugs as well with some of our current premium offerings as well. And they are on our to-do list, because we do want to say thank you to everybody who has stuck by us for the last couple of years in whatever respect. And what we do need to do, though, is try and give you guys a bit of value for it. There's obviously going to be a bit of a discussion how we try and do that, keeping it fair but also being realistic with what we need as Shotbow to keep going. Financially at the moment we are okay, but obviously we would always like to have a bit more of a buffer so we can have the slower months which don't worry us so much. But we'd love to offer other reasons for the players to contribute to the running of Shotbow. If it ever got to a stage where we were concerned, we would have other action plans as well going forward with community engagement around that. So we're not going to, just to be clear, we're never going to just disappear, oh, that's us, we've only got 1 month, we're off. We would be doing quite a bit of community engagement to explain any situation that we found ourselves in which we felt could maybe not be resolved in time. So I think that answers that question. And I'm now a high score of level 29. If I get to 100, when I get to 100 platforms, the stream stops. Okay, so keep the questions coming, because we could be here a long time. Oh, for God's sake, that was terrible. Next question, please.
Next question: has Shotbow considered hiring developers to speed up the process of becoming a bigger server once again? If not, why?
Oh, you cut off slightly there, Navarr, but I think your question ended with, "What if not? Why not?" The simple answer to that one is that at the moment, as I alluded to earlier, Shotbow does not have any paid staff at the moment. We all do this as a hobby in our free time. And as a small tangent to that, you know, obviously when things pick up in real life, either through illness, bereavement, or other, we have lulls with our staff team. So yes, it would be fantastic to hire new developers in, but if we were doing that, we would be paying our own staff first. We do not have the revenue currently to pay staff, let alone try and hire people in on a temporary basis. We're always welcome to additional, you know, people who want to develop for us. Obviously on the understanding that at the moment it would be entirely for free on your own time, with, you know, under conditions, you know, similar to an enterprise workplace. You know, we have protections to ensure that the work that is contributed by you and everybody else in Shotbow is, you know, protected in terms of legalities. But we can't simply just sort of be, you know, we can't drop an advert on Google Ads and be like, Shotbow developer wanted £200,000 a year, or $200,000, whatever we're talking, come work for us for a week and we can get everything out. Shotbow did used to be a business back in the day when it launched, way before my time and way before some of the staff team currently. But at least for the last 2 to 3 years, as far as I'm aware, we have all just been volunteers doing this as almost as a second free job, because we enjoy it that much. Everybody needs a hobby, and that's what Shotbow is to many of us in the staff team. Some of us a bit more in terms of commitment, but you know, we all, no matter who we are on the staff team, whether it be myself as network lead, or Doc, who's literally doing everything because he's a god, or it's one of our mini admins who's helping one of our, you know, game modes such as Smash, report bugs, or otherwise, we're all trying to just make Shotbow a better place. And sounds a bit cheesy, I know, so apologies for that, but that's what it is. It's just a hobby at the moment. It would be great for us to get to an enterprise level where we could start paying our developers and our staff team. It would mean that they would be able to dedicate more of their time because they're being paid, so they can, you know, justify that time spent. But it also means that we can then make more cool stuff, have more fun. And that would be the ultimate goal. But at the moment, we're still just a wee hobby server for now.
That is a pretty good answer. Here's an interesting one that we get asked a lot in various places, but that people just don't ever seem to accept the answer for. So let's run it again. Does High Life still interact with staff of Shotbow?
Oh god, I thought you were going to ask a different question there. Yes, he does. So obviously, like I said in my previous answer, Matt used to be Matt's, you know, business. It used to be very much his job, his income. But he, you know, obviously moved on from Shotbow at a time with respects to getting a different source of income IRL. But he is still in contact with Navarr, Doc, and myself on matters that require his attention. That usually is anything to do with host or anything to do with finances. But otherwise, he has given us, as you know, the leadership team, us three, myself, Doc, Navarr, and Matt, making up the fourth member. We are the three musketeers. We are leading Shotbow. We are managing Shotbow. We have the authority to make changes where we feel appropriate, and if we need High Life's, you know, acceptance or guidance on an issue, we can reach him. He sometimes is busy with work or other family matters, but typically we can reach him within a day or two. So he's still with us. He just unfortunately does not have the time. So to be as active as he would like to be on the forums or otherwise, but that's what we're here for, and I hope we're a good enough substitute. And if not, well, fine. You guys suck.
Hey, come on now.
Not you, nothing. Yeah. Next
Anyway,
question.
let's see. Next question. There's so many here, but here's one that we should have answered even earlier on, but I didn't see it quite quick enough. Do you know if you're going to continue developing Gold Rush?
Yes, I believe we just answered that. So yes, that is the current plan. The current plan, as I said earlier in the stream, would be we want to content update our current modes, which is Annihilation and MineZ. Doc obviously still has his roadmap. Annihilation has just released the spring update, and we're looking forward to releasing a further update. Oh, blast! I don't know how high I got on that one. But we would also like to push Gold Rush out, but we want to have Gold Rush out when we have our content on Annihilation and MineZ fresh, and we have as many bugs as we can quashed. But yes, Gold Rush is now greenlit, and I will be taking reins of that game design.
That's great. Let's see here. Will we be making a staff team for Gold Rush? You bet your sweet butt we will be.
Absolutely. Ah, Steam, why did you open? Ah, Steam killed me. Gosh darn it. Steam
Okay. We've got a question that might be better suited for Halo, who I saw earlier. I think he's still with us. Are you still with us, Halo?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so this will probably be more for Halo and or Doc. Do you think we will ever see the 2017 Christmas Town again?
You know, the Christmas stuff has gone through a couple iterations. The build team enjoys creating new content. I think our current plan, at least MineZ-wise, for themed towns is to keep those and then to sort of build around them instead of just slating them away and never using them again. Does that work?
That is an answer.
I just completely failed in Death by Void. Like, I got confused and I went back to the start on my infinite course. Just, oh my god, I'm an idiot. I never said I was a smart man.
We've got a new question here. Is there any chance you guys will give Annihilation a major update? You know, to make the game fresh and attract old and new players back.
So the spring update just released yesterday, actually 24 hours ago, almost to the hour. There's obviously some things that we need to address. There's obviously a few bugs which always arise from a new update, which we didn't catch during QA. But there is a plan for another content patch for Annihilation. I'm currently scoping that out with my administration team. We had the meeting last night, and I will be talking to Doc, who is our current lead and current developer of everything, about the scope that he can take on with all of his other projects, because obviously we have quite a few things on Shotbow that we need to be working on. We have our 2 game modes, Annie and MineZ. We have our infrastructure projects for the back end to make his life not so much a living hell. We have obviously our host as well to work with to ensure that we have stability. But we also have other things such as cosmetics to try and broaden our appeal, as well as Gold Rush. So there's quite a bit to try and balance and prioritize, but we are being quite ruthless and realistic with what we need to do this year, or for at least the next 6 months. So yes, is the answer to that.
We have a question here for, I think, Doc, who might hand it off to Halo if he thinks that's relevant. What are the future plans for MineZ Classic?
I there's a roadmap. Do you want me to lay out the roadmap, or
Let's just go over some high level overview.
Okay, well, a lot of things are changing. The recode update came out last year, this year. I can't remember when it came out, to be honest. The main idea behind that was to rebuild the infrastructure of the game because the game was so old that it needed an update. Item update is coming out April, May. It's in the progress right now of being finished and slated so we can throw it on the PTR for testing. This will involve every legendary is being touched, every item in the game's being touched. We're adding in new stuff like a toggle system for toggling things, adding in features that players want back, like the particles. We are currently messing with PvP again right now. I rewrote the whole system again for this update because people are saying that PvP is still kind of off. So I rewrote it again. We're going to bring on some players who say the PvP is off from the server currently onto a dev server soon. I want them to play with it and give me feedback on it. But that's a big thing we're doing with it. Let's see. I'm fixing potions too. I think I found a way to fix the velocity problem with the potions. So that's coming also. After that, we have the quest update that will be coming. That will actually let us tell a story and we're actually going to start to build the lore and fix the lore and try to make it so we can tell a story in MineZ with the quest update. And then after the quest update, during the quest updates, I can tell you the milestone system will come back, which is the stats. The whole stat system will come back better, improved, and more buffed up than ever before. And after that, it's the Wanderer update. The Wanderer update's still a hush-hush in my head kind of update that I haven't really laid out that much, but it's really, really cool. And then after that, we have more stuff coming with MineZ that we've yet to release that will be released in the coming days. I did make a new channel in the Discord called Sneak Peek. Well, actually, Navarr made it, and I'm starting to use it to show players what's coming to game modes. Right now, it's MineZ because that's what I'm working on. As soon as we get to the Annie next update, which will come whenever Murg starts scoping it with me, and I start working on those, I'm going to start sneak peeking stuff in there too, because I want more players to see what we're doing. But yeah, there's big changes coming to MineZ. There's some things that we still have under wraps we're still working on trying to figure out and how we're going to put it in. And yeah. I don't know if Halo wants to throw more in there or not.
No, I think that pretty much answers it.
You want to give us a sneak peek about where the lore might be heading?
Well, we've been, as Doc said, we've been really working to sort of correct any inconsistencies in the lore. The lore is roughly 6 years old and has been written by many different people, and we're trying to give that one singular voice that tells a concrete story. Even before Doc's updates, you should be able to understand the game's history and where it's at. Because the core concept is that it is an apocalypse and that there is a story and there are gods, and how do you tell that? And obviously we wanted to tell that mainly through the Origin update, which has gone through a couple of different iterations, but we're very happy with where it is now, and we're making that final push for it.
That's cool. Another question, like a follow-up question for you, Halo. And this may have been answered previously. You have to cut me some slack because I'm trying to listen to all the answers and read all the questions across multiple sources at once. But are there plans for new dungeons?
Yeah, the builders always come up with new concepts for dungeons, although everything has... and our big push is to make everything make sense within the lore, so you will never see a dungeon just pop up underneath something without it being relevant to the game itself. Doc, if you want to continue on that question, feel free to.
So if there's no more dungeons coming?
Yeah, I guess just to explain our process and how we sort of decide.
So, well, one of the big things that's coming in the item update, which is the next one, is we're re-tiering the whole dungeon system. We're actually going to properly, it's based on different factors, and we'll release those factors once we have them fully finalized, but we're tiering them out. So the whole idea behind the tiering system is to go 1 through 5 on difficulty, and the loot will also change based on the difficulty. So you have basic loot in the first one and better at 5. This will allow us to see more of a granular idea of how many dungeons are out there, and we want to kind of add more dungeons based on the tier. So more tier 1s, more simple dungeons to be able to do with you and your friends, or more harder ones that give more story, more lore, more, stuff like that. So more dungeons will be coming. We just have to start building a structured system that makes sense with the dungeons, because I think in the past we just kind of put them in, right, Halo? They just go in.
Yeah, they just sort of pop up.
So like I'm trying to get it to build an actual cool structure so we can see what we have, what we currently have, and what we need to make it better.
Thank you guys for your answers.
No! Oh, I'm 35. Sorry. Death by Void is getting to me again. I remember why I don't play this mode.
For Doc, and this is sort of a loaded question, will MTA be getting any?
We're doing config changes right now to MTA to help improve it, but at the moment, that's all we're doing. We're trying to get some stuff done with that. That's it.
To support
Will MineZ 2 ever come back in any way, shape, or form?
Not at this state in mind. At this moment, no.
Let's see. There was a suggestion here for a building contest for making a city dungeon for MineZ, and the best 3 get a place on the map, maybe. That's just a suggestion.
I kind of want to do a contest for something, Halo. I don't know if we've really talked about that. But
We've done that in the past, and it's had similar amounts of success to other contests. It really depends on community contribution, which is the big deal there.
Maybe let me and Halo talk about that. We'll let you guys know in the forums.
Cool. Lizzie asks, regarding MineZ, will alts remain the same when/if the bank system comes out?
Yeah, alts will stay for now. I'm kind of evaluating the alts and what the purpose behind it. If it's just storing things and stuff like that, I don't know. I don't know the future of alts. But for now, as it stays, alts will stay with the bank system on the item update. Alts will not change. Alts will be allowed. Everything's fine with alts for the time being.
Thank you. For Murg, there's a question here about Annihilation and listening to the community. We do listen to the community, but what's the best way for the community to get their ideas and suggestions in front of you, Murg?
In front of me, post it on the forums. I read the forums every day. Every day, log onto the forums, click on what's new, select the Annihilation forum, go through it. We've had I do occasionally log on to Discord and have a wee chat with players live if I've got a bit of free time. The forums is the best way to do it simply because the ideas are structured. The topics are, because in Discord it's just one channel, #Annihilation, so it can be difficult to follow multiple ideas because there's no sort of threading. But on the forums, it's easier to just come back to it anytime. It's easier to reference and link. I think I did say something in Discord the other day. We always do listen to players with respects to their feedback about certain aspects of our game modes. It doesn't necessarily that we will always agree with what the players are giving us as feedback. For example, if somebody told me, what if Civilian was overpowered and required to be nerfed in Annihilation, I would tell you quietly to go, okay, yes, sure, I'll nerf Civilian. There's got to be a bit of balance. There's objectiveness to balancing classes. There's subjectiveness as well, and we make the acknowledgement that we will never come to a place where everybody is going to be 100% happy. If I was able to do that, I would be here. I'd be running for UN Peace Council Resolution Officer or some stuff like that. It's never going to happen. Everybody's always going to have their favorite class or their favorite strategy, and if I begin touching it because I feel that it's too powerful, then I'm going to upset people, and it's never our intention to do that. But it's always our intention just to try and keep things fun and fair for everyone, and that can be tricky at times. The main thing I do want to iterate is that if we make a change that goes live, sometimes we need to do that just to test it and see how it goes. Sometimes it's almost impossible for us to realistically say how this change will affect the meta without seeing how it affects the meta, because there's only so much we could do in a controlled environment with our staff, with our internal testers and some of our community members who we grab and say, hey, come help us test this and give us your thoughts. Sometimes you just need to put it out there. There are a couple of things in the spring update which have just gone out which people might say, oh, that's a bit unpolished, or a bit this seems a bit overpowered, Murg, why have you done this? The simple answer is because we need the players to tell us what is good, what is bad, what is required changes. And then we can take a look at it, and if we feel that we can objectively justify it, we'll do it as well. I think that answers the question.
Can I answer questions, Navarr?
Can you answer questions?
Yeah. I don't know if you want to keep the hosting, like you Mike hosting this, or
Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm picking here and there and making sure that things are kind of cleared up.
I'm just giving full concrete answers, man.
No, you're fine. You were done. So there was a couple in here I wanted to answer for sure, because it's something we
go ahead and address them, Doc.
Okay, so there's somebody, I don't know who said this, I just lost it because this chat is really far. Hang on.
You don't have to get the full question. Just what was it
someone
about?
asked if there'd be more events on MineZ. So I remember a while ago, you guys, we had that big, humongous test on the event server. I don't know if you remember that, anybody. The purpose behind that was for us to test the idea of world events, and it came out pretty good. there was a couple things we're tweaking on new updates coming soon that will fix some of the problems we saw during that testing. But for like a little leak spoiler, world events will be coming back. That's pretty much all we're going to say with that.
Thanks. There's a similar question for Murg about events and Annihilation. What sort of additional clan events might be in the works or in the future, and will 8v8 ever come back?
Oh gosh, right, that's a big one. Doc, go make yourself a cup of tea. I might be finished by the time you get back.
Alcoholic beverage.
Oh dear me.
Why do you make your answer not take forever?
Okay, right. So 8v8 it had to be disabled back in the day because we had some suspicions about performance issues with it, and those turned out to be true. So it was killed in its iteration in that stage. There are plans to try and return a 8v8 mode, well, at least a mode which would enable clans to compete. So obviously we just did the Annie tournament, and it was, you know, we learned a lot of lessons, but we had a lot of fun. But what would be good in the meantime, between tournaments, if we do decide to host another one, would be allowing players to be able to more effectively host their own sort of league, or with assistance from other staff members. So that's part of the next update to Annihilation, which I will have to discuss with Doc. And the other thing that we're maybe looking at is giving players abilities to create private instances of Annihilation and tweak things, you know, for them to customize it. So maybe if you want the old Phase 5 back, we can look at that. If you want to have all classes locked, we can maybe look at that. So that's where I'd like to go with clans. And for more events, we do have the sandbox up and running again, and we're open to additional ideas. We've always got our all versus red, and we have our all classes, and we have some other sort of just game modes that we make up on the spot, like, you know, the Juggernaut one, or the a few others. So we're good, I think. The things are planned for clans for the next update. Just have to see what we can realistically do with our tech specs and our development time.
Did I ask Doc yet if Wasted was ever coming back?
Oh god.
Not in the foreseeable future.
Just to reiterate,
So, yeah.
just to reiterate that point for everybody, that the current focus is Annihilation and MineZ, bug fixing and content updating, and then, you know, putting our efforts into Gold Rush, and at the same time, you know, trying to balance our cosmetic offering as well as our premium offering, as well as our stability offering, as well as our updating legacy for our sanity. So there's quite a lot to balance. Unfortunately, that means that modes such as Wasted, Unavowed, When in Rogue, they're huge projects to undertake, and it's very difficult for us to, because we feel that we need to be updating Shotbow more often, more frequently, and the only way we can do that is say, look, we're going to have to prioritize. You know, even modes like MTA, it would take Doc quite a while for him to learn the mode, get to grips with it, and it's just something we can't consider as a priority. We have to be ruthless, and it sucks. We would love to be able to offer, you know, as much developer resource to every mode that, you know, Doc has given to MineZ, for example, in the past year. A lot of love and attention for that mode. It required it for performance and for future scalability and future planning, but we just, unfortunately, I'm not in that position.
We've gotten a few questions about bringing more mini games, like shorter, quicker, fun games to Shotbow. Is there any reason we don't bring more mini games onto Shotbow, Doc, Murg?
I mean, the last 2 years has been the last 2 years has obviously been Doc coming on and becoming our lead developer, and it's taken him obviously some time to learn and get to grips with all our modes, and he's obviously put a lot of work into MineZ, as I just explained, because again, I feel that you know, even myself as a player back in the day, I felt that Shotbow should be focusing on bug fixing and content patching its current modes before releasing new additional content. And I think that's something that we need to continue with as much as we can, with balancing our priorities again. But Gold Rush is, I suppose, going to be the closest thing we have to a mini mode because it's fairly fast. It's not as big and as overarching, as complex as, say, Annihilation or MineZ. But if anybody came up with a really snappy idea for a game, for a mini, like a really mini mode, something maybe similar to like Light Bikes, which used to be back in the day, or Flappy Chick, hashtag bring back
maybe
Flappy Chick.
Koi?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I had to.
Oh god, well, that's on your head, Navarr, not ours. But no, it's something we have to look at. Obviously, the open weekend for Gold Rush was to get a gauge an interest on what players thought of the mode and if it would be viable longer term. We've got that sort of not vindication. That's not quite the right word. Confirmation, I suppose. That is what we can perceive with the players sort of almost blessing. I feel that if we try to do mini game modes, just with our limited developer resources, we would maybe be being discourteous to our player base when they've said, look, we told you to do Gold Rush and you're just faffing around with some mini game modes which realistically don't offer much. And yeah, that's where I would stand on that one.
And then, so in the past, we've also had mini games, like you mentioned, Light Bikes, Slaughter, Flappy Chick, etc. And these never really took off. We haven't had a lot of good results with standalone mini games. So whether or not we'd ever do more mini games in the future, I don't think the way we used to do mini games fits well with our strategy.
They're going to have to be not so much mini games, they're going to have to be games like Gold Rush, which would be similar sort of level of quickness in terms of gameplay to like Smash, for example. That's the kind of esque I think we'd have to aim for initially for the next foreseeable future if we're doing completely new games.
Jetty asks, will there always be a Shotbow even if it might start costing money?
Okay, I assume by that question it is if we got to the point where we would have to start requesting players to pay for entry to Shotbow.
I think that they mean more if we're net negative.
Oh, right. So it wouldn't be necessary for... sorry, can you just ask that question again, Navarr? I just need to frame it in my mind a bit better.
Will there always be a Shotbow, even if it might start costing money? Thought of a crowdfunding to hire developers, keep the server up if it might ever come so far.
That would be a contingency plan. If absolute worst came to the worst, we would be, obviously reaching out to the players and saying, look, this is the position we're in. This is what we're going to have to do to keep going. And, we'd be realistic and open with where we are finance-wise at that point. The reason we don't do that at the moment is because we are still trying to keep going as a business, and we don't want to, sort of be too doomsday. We'd like to try and just keep a lid on things and say, look, we're confident with that at the moment. If it ever got to the point where we weren't confident any further, yes, community engagement with either respects to any interaction like that would be on the table, and that is something that High Life has approved as a last resort kind of measure. Basically, we're not going to let Shotbow die without a fight. We're all quite dedicated to it, and we're interested, and we want to see it do well, and we want it to be around for as long as possible.
There have been some questions about advertising, if we're currently advertising, how we're currently advertising, what we plan to do, WRT advertising. So
obviously, as of late, we've had some issues with our connections due to some scrupulous individuals around the world. With respect to advertising, we're not actively advertising because of our connectivity issues that have happened as of late. However, the other reason for it would be that we find that players, especially new players, if we begin advertising Shotbow, they will only want to come back to Shotbow or play us if there is new content. often, if it's just more of the same, even if it's brand new content patches to our existing modes, we don't see a massive drive in, darn it, 64, I was so close. We don't see a massive spike in new players. We see a lot of return of older players for maybe a month or two, which is always great to see, but for driving new players, we need that new content. And that's what we're hoping that Gold Rush will be able to do. We'll be able to go out with a good advertising message saying, hey, we have a brand new game mode, you've never played it before, come give it a try, and we'll be able to offer a stable platform for it as well.
In addition to that, I guess since I'm PR, I'll just answer some stuff there. We do want to focus more on advertising in the future, but we really want to get our core offering in a good, stable state where people who are just hearing word of mouth want to come play and stay and continue playing before we move on to, doing anything there. Here's sort of an interesting question. I'm going to answer this one, Murg. What are the staff team views as far as the LGBTQ plus community goes? Do you support it? Are there any people from that community on the staff team? If so, did others know when they were recruited? As far as Shotbow is concerned, we're very open. We're very, we try to be diverse. We have no reason to exclude anyone from our team for being LGBTQ plus or anything like that. People are people. It doesn't matter anything more than that. Right, Murg?
Pretty much. I mean, if you're talking about, people being silly in the games, then obviously we have absolutely no tolerance of people being phobic in any respect. And if you ever use some sort of language which is like that, you can expect a swift talking to.
That's pretty clear cut from our rules. And we've had people, we have and do have non-binary people as part of the staff. Whether or not other people know or not, I'm not sure. People are sort of quiet about that if they want to be. Some people talk about it if they want to. So it's just what it is. People are people, and we're not really, we're not phobic here in any way.
To be fair, it's not something we focus on.
Doc, here's a question. Stats were not implemented when the recode update was released. Are there plans to add them back, and will they be applied to all games and have various rewards such as XP or remain with Spawn Kit editions? And will older stats transfer over to such a new system?
The new stat system is being worked on. I'm calling it the milestone system. It's part of the quest update, which is, I think, August, September. I don't remember the date I put for those. But yes, the reason it couldn't move over is because it utilized the old MineZ system, and it wasn't going to be ready. There's no way for it to be ready to have MineZ change the core system behind the scenes. The new system is coming. It will work on every game mode together. It will have all stuff working together. There'll be a lot of cool features to it. I mean, I want to put something out eventually soon about explaining more about how this system will work, but it will be a universal network stat system.
Thank you, Doc. We've had across... Oh, sorry, Mark, go on.
I need to step outside for 2 minutes. I've just failed so spectacularly bad at Death by Void today. I'm ashamed. That's it, I resign. Doc, you're in charge. Yeah, it's now the Docbo Network. Goodbye, everyone.
I'm your co-lead. Why would you skip?
Rip. That's funny, actually. That's hurtful.
I've seen various questions over, a couple of the different chat rooms, plus the pre-submitted questions about HCF and if we'd ever do HCF again, or if HCF is ever coming back. Some of y'all might not have been around when it happened, but HCF did come back. They tried their hardest to do outreach. It did not go very well, and so it went back offline in relatively short order. As of now, there are no plans to ever try HCF again.
HCF as a mode is very much, it was very much almost its own standalone server as well. It really, you know, no, there's very few people remaining on the current staff team who have an interest in HCF, but yeah.
I mean, I miss it, but it is what it is.
I mean, I don't miss some of the toxicity that came from that community, but I do miss like that sort of game being around.
The competitiveness of it was fine, but I think unfortunately what came with the competitiveness was the toxicity, and you know, it was just, you know, a different breed of player.
That's what I miss, was Wayo. I miss Wayo. We used to love, we own that server.
Okay, let's not start a riot. Doc, back into your cage. Keep working on Gold Rush.
Murgatron, lead the Shotbow network. I have a question for you. Why don't you pay your staff?
Yeah, Murg.
Why don't I pay my staff? I wish I could pay my staff, but the problem is, if I pay my staff, then the Shotbow would be shut down there and then. We just simply do not have the revenue coming in. Like I said before, you know, way back in the day before I was ever on the staff team, it was a business, but you know, things changed, and it, you know, became apparent that it was unable. We were, you know, the staff team at the time were unable to keep paying the staff team, and that's where we are today. And as I say, we're all just here in our free time. We would love to be paid, but getting there might be, you know, it is very difficult. It may be an impossibility on Minecraft.
Doc, do you have any plans for Slaughter?
Maybe some bug fixes, but I do want to bug fix it. It's not currently a top priority, but it might be one of those things I go to when I'm mad at Andy or MineZ and I don't want to work the way I want it to. I mean, sometimes you need to take a break from what you're doing and go do something else. And it might be one of those things I go look at when I'm just sitting here throwing potions, getting angry that the velocity's not working.
I would just like to announce Death by Void 2 is also our newest game mode. I'm going to make it so that I can just fly in it, because sorry.
Your staff, you could just technically fly in it.
Yes, I could just GM1 it, but yeah. No, I'm legit. I will through blood, sweat, and tears, and much swearing, which will be bleeped. I'll mute myself, or I'll at least try to in time. I will get to 100 platforms. Carry on.
What's up with Win and Rogue? Will it ever come back?
Nope. At least not in the ever foreseeable future. Too big a game mode, too big a project to undertake at the moment. Shotbow needs small, regular content patches to its current modes, and we need a shorter mode to put out, with which is new content to hopefully drive more players and get us back up and going. So, no.
So to put that in a less negative route, we don't see ourselves working on Win and Rogue in the next year at the least. There are us on the team who love Win and Rogue and would want to see it back again, but as of now, we don't have the resources.
Oh god, I love it. I think it was one of the best modes Shotbow ever put out, even better than Annihilation. I love that mode, but we just can't at the moment. It's just no, and it pains us to say that, but that's the reality.
I do want to throw a shout out to Twitch, where we have Aoife chatting up with some of our viewers.
Oh my god,
Hi,
Aoife. Back in the day, Aoife was my mentor. Hello, Aoife.
There's been a lot of questions about us selling unbans. What do you think about that?
Can't do it. It's against the EULA. Next question. Simply put.
Let's go on a theoretical. What if it wasn't against the EULA, or if it turns out that it's not against?
Oh god. Okay, we're doing your theoreticals, and I could ask a million questions. I don't know. I mean, if it wasn't against EULA, I don't know. I mean, I feel that if you're breaking the rules, you know, you're going to get into a big social discussion of, you know, rehabilitation, blah blah blah. No, I don't think there's anything that we can really get from that kind of discussion.
And on that note, like we even accept appeals from people who have cheated in the past if enough time has passed and they seem like they're legitimately turned over a new leaf. We've also in the past, and for myself at least, maybe I can talk for Murgatron, but I don't know. We've always viewed that as an ethical quandary. We don't want to incentivize ourselves for banning people. That's not something we want at all.
To be fair, that's something I didn't even consider, but yeah, that's a good point.
There's also, someone who asked something about that, also asked about ban wipes happening. Those used to happen in the past. Nowadays, I think because of penny alts and stuff, we don't do ban wipes anymore.
No.
Well, one of the reasons they did happen in the past was because our anti-cheat systems were still very young. And so they were constantly updated, and we'd do ban wipes in case of false bans and stuff like that. But nowadays, we still do ban wipes in the case of if our anti-cheat is ever proven to be banning falsely. I think anyone would be unbanned who was banned by that anti-cheat system. Isn't that right, Doc?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So I guess that speaks well of our anti-cheat system. I know a lot of people like to rag on it because it doesn't keep all of the cheaters out. But what it does is we haven't ever seen any proof of a false ban from it. There's a question, will Shotbow be hosting more events? I think we covered that in MineZ and Annihilation, but also community relation events like this Q&A.
So I think the reason why we haven't done, I can't remember the last time we did. When was the last community Q&A, Navarr? Do you recall?
I think the last time we did a community Q&A, it was sort of an informal thing I did randomly on Discord, like with a.
I think I signed up for being the dev at the last Q&A. I messaged you in the middle of it.
So
I'm quite sure.
Cyclone is saying it happened last summer.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm certain.
Yeah, so
There hasn't been one since I signed up, and I signed up when there was one, so.
I mean, I think we definitely could do more community interactions like this. I suppose the reason why we haven't done one so far is because we weren't to do a community Q&A like this. It's nice to it's almost essential really for us to have a solid answer for everybody with respects to what are you going to do, what are your plans. And for the longest time we weren't sure on those plans because Gold Rush was our next project, but we weren't sure if it was viable, so we did the open weekend. We got confirmation of that. We got confirmation of where we were resource wise with our development team, and where we were with other matters, and we felt that we were at an appropriate stage where we could give a Q&A which wasn't just going to be a bunch of we don't know yet, because I feel that giving concrete answers is the best way to reassure people that we have got a plan, but it's better for us to say here is the plan rather than trust us we have a plan.
Thank you. I'm looking through the questions, and I think we've answered most of them in some way, form, or fashion. We're getting close to an hour here, and I don't think we should go over an hour. How do you feel, Murg?
I'm all right. I might need to take a small break to the little boys' room in 5 minutes, but I'm happy to keep going if the questions are fresh.
Let's see.
Where are the questions like what's my favorite color or what's my favorite breakfast item? Come on.
Oh, I'm sick of those. Okay,
Talk
Murg.
about colors.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Does
dog.
Murg have any pets? If so, which one does he like the most? And what are the names of the pets? How often does he feed them, bathe them, and cuddle?
What's on? You mean IRL pets? No, I have none. Next question. I wish I did, but I don't. I don't have time
Cats
for
are
them.
better.
I wish I had a dog, but I don't. I don't have time for a dog, unfortunately, right now. It would not. It would be cruel to. If I brought a dog into my life right now, it would be damn near cruel because I don't have time.
How long does it take for mini admins to become full admins? Are there any different teams they can join as minis?
Yes, so when a new staff member, a mini admin comes on, they are obviously dedicated to that mode. If they want to expand into other teams, we obviously look at how they're doing in their current team, and if they would be suitable for the mode that they're interested in joining another team with. With respects to becoming a full admin, we've got internal guidelines. Obviously I won't share all of them for any of our current minis listening eagerly for tips. But I mean, general stats apply. We have to be fully confident in them banning. We have to be confident in them as community members, as ambassadors for the staff team, and being, you know, helpful and mature. You know, and even, you know, we look to them to be helping out the newer minis and going from there. So it's really down to context. You know, we don't like doing a text box exercise. We more get because we're still quite a small knit staff team. We can generally just go for a we feel that this person is ready. We have a chat with the full admin team. No major issues or concerns noted. Up they come into the world of make believe.
I think we've handled most of the topics, and I'd like to start wrapping up now. Murg, do you have any final address to give to the community?
Thank you all for coming, and feel free to keep asking the questions on the forums. Like I say, we read them every day, or at least I do. Read the forums every day, and occasionally I'll pop into Discord, so feel free to say hello. But thanks to everybody for joining us. It's been fun. Hopefully we can maybe schedule another one of these once we have some more progress made, or some major announcements that we'd like to go for, and we can go forward with that. Thank you to Navarr for doing all of the question management. And thanks to Doc for not being Doc too much this stream.
What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't. I'm actually being chill. I'm actually waiting for questions.
I highly encourage anyone still watching to make sure to jump into our Discord, and I encourage Murg, Doc, and myself to respond to any questions currently coming up in Shoutbox. But I think it's time to end the stream. So thank you all for coming, for listening. You can connect to our Discord at discord.gg/Shotbow. And just once again, thank you. Murg, kill the stream.
I'm gonna kill myself. I'm gonna kill myself because I think the highest score I got in Death by Void Infinite Platforms today was like 60 odd or something. I wasn't even close. Oh, I'm so bad at this game mode. Thank you all. Bye.